On behalf of the Italian Space Agency, the International Astronautical Federation, and the City of Naples, I'm pleased to welcome you to the 63rd edition of the International Astronautical Congress. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I leave you in the hands of the President of the Italian Space Agency, Mr. Enrico Saggese. Welcome, Mr. President.
So, authorities, distinguished guests, dear friends, you have already received a welcome to this Congress, which we are organizing in the beautiful city of Naples. I think that the best way to start is to review the message that the President of the Italian Republic, Giorgio Napolitano, has sent us in honor of this Congress. I'll read it in Italian as we received from the President, and then there will be a translation in English. So, from Giorgio Napolitano. Sono lieto di dare il benvenuto in Italia a Napoli a tutti i partecipanti al 63esimo International Astronautical Congress. Mi felicito vivamente che l'Agenzia Spaziale Italiana, che con la Regione Campania, la Provincia, il Comune e la Camera di Commercio di Napoli si è adoperata affinché la città fosse scelta per così importante evento. L'area metropolitana di Napoli, dove operano numerose piccole e medie imprese d'avanguardia del settore aerospaziale, ha consolidate tradizioni aeronautiche e promuove in questo campo avanzate attività di ricerca, specifiche iniziative imprenditoriali e commerciali a carattere internazionale. In tale quadro, considerata anche la rilevanza che lo specifico settore ha per l'innovazione e per la crescita economica del Paese, l'incontro potrà costituire un significativo momento di confronto di idee e di conoscenze tra studiosi, ricercatori, operatori industriali e rappresentanti istituzionali. Mi fa inoltre particolarmente piacere che in occasione del congresso dedicato alla figura del nostro insigne concittadino, il professor Luigi Gerardo Napolitano, si svolga l'inaugurazione della nuova area museale dell'Osservatorio Astronomico di Capodimonte, di cui quest'anno ricorre il bicentenario della Fondazione. Con questi sentimenti desidero inviare a lei, caro Presidente, e a tutti i convenuti il mio caloroso saluto, unitamente all'augurio di fruttuose giornate di lavoro. Giorgio Napolitano.
Welcome in Italy and Naples all the participants to the 63rd International Astronautical Congress. I warmly congratulate with the Italian Space Agency that together with Campania region, the province, the municipality and the Chamber of Commerce of Naples endeavored for the city to be chosen for such an important event. The metropolitan area of Naples, where numerous high-tech aerospace enterprises are operational, holds long-lasting traditions in this field and promotes advanced research activities, specific commercial and entrepreneurial initiatives in this field at an international level. In such a framework, considering also the relevance that the specific sector holds for the innovation and the economic growth of the country, the Congress can be a significant moment of exchange of ideas and knowledge among scientists, researchers, industrial operators and institutional representatives. I'm particularly pleased as well that during the Congress, which is dedicated to our distinguished fellow citizen, Professor Luigi Gerardo Napolitano, the new museum area of Capodimonte Astronomical Observatory, whose bicentenary is recurring this year, will be inaugurated. With such feelings, I wish to send you, dear President, and to all the delegates, my warmest greetings, together with my wishes of a fruitful Congress work. Giorgio Napolitano.
let me start first to thank you all for your willingness to exchange ideas, opinions, projects, and aspirations in a field of knowledge that is the most privileged protocol that we know among nations for the establishment of a shared vision, often crucial in the pursuit of the global civil revolution. I offer my gratitude to the numerous delegates. I know that we are now approaching the number of 4,000 from 50 countries of all over the world for their will to deepen in the course of several sessions scientific, industrial, legal, diplomatic, financial, and educational aspects of the space knowledge, and for having chosen to do so, relying on the charm, culture, and tradition of the city of Naples, which historically has been several times the Mediterranean crossroad of knowledge and innovation. I am convinced that this territory will be the effective catalyst for our joint effort and will enter into our hearts as a long-lasting reference to the memories of these days. I have therefore two reasons, as someone from the South, and as a person who has dedicated his professional life to the space segment, to express my deep and sincere emotions. And it is with this feeling that I wish to address to you, all colleagues, authorities, teachers, managers, researchers, students, and honored guests, the warmest welcome to the 63rd edition of the International Astronautical Congress. This event is back in Italy after 15 years, from the edition of '97 held in the city of Turin, and so I wish to share the pride for this achievement with the Campania region, the province, the city, and the Chamber of Commerce of Naples, who promoted and supported this event with great determination. Naples, as our choice, will represent the profile of excellence and determination with which Italy entirely, in the last 50 years, has been able to place itself in the forefront of the space activities, realizing ambitious goals and consolidated bilateral and multilateral profitable relationships with the key agencies at the European level, with the European Space Agency, with the CNES, DLR, UK Space Agency, and outside Europe has a privileged relation with NASA. But not only at the end of the 90s, ASI has started to transform good international relations in concrete projects of collaboration with the JAXA, Roscosmos, ISRO from India, CONAE, Argentina, Canada, Kenya, Israel. And recently the signature of some framework agreement paved the way of a possible cooperation projects with Brazil, Korea, China, Egypt, Mexico, and Thailand. Just a few weeks ago, at the inauguration of the new headquarters of the Italian Space Agency, we had the pleasure of celebrating the 20th anniversary of the first flight of an Italian astronaut and the 50 years of active and effective collaboration with NASA. New projects and new initiatives will mark the history of Italian excellence once more in the field of Earth observation, telecommunication, and exploration of the universe in the understanding of its composition, origin, and evolution. We will continue to give our tireless contribution to the many segments of science to ensure access to space. In order to achieve these goals, we can't head along without young people's support, in terms of perspective, passion, ideas, continuity, and enthusiasm. And this issue also introduces one of the features of this edition of the IAC, that for the first time explicitly open to young people and students through the initiatives of both Space Generation Event Space Tour, which will take place on October the 3rd, and includes a visit of the astronaut Roberto Vittori to numerous schools. It would be important to point out that the long and distinctive Italian tradition in space matters has been made possible by scientists and extraordinary men. And this Congress is dedicated to Professor Luigi Napolitano, a scientist who was a pioneer in the field of aerodynamics and hypersonic, promoting the use of space as an environment for microgravity research. This space which he called the fourth environment. To him we dedicate our thoughts, relying them ideally also to the person of his wife, Mrs. Liliana Boccolini Napolitano, who we also thank for his work as an honorary chairman of the organizing committee. I would like to conclude by saying that the planning and implementation of these days would have been impossible without the commitment of business and professional institutions, such as the IAD, IPAS and IDA, of the Pole and High Tech in Naples, and all those who have believed in and worked to make this conference a successful event in a concrete sharing and discussion meeting. Finally, allow me to make the last two references to this territory. First of all, we should remember that in November, the ISA Ministerial Council will be held at the Royal Palace of Caserta. The most important opportunity will be there for discussion and planning between members countries of the European Space Agency. Furthermore, as a tireless fan of cultural, artistic and agricultural wealth of this land, I would like to conclude by highlighting that the Italian Space Agency and the organizing committee have decided with the IAF to extend the touristic tour and social events to unequaled sites in the province of Naples, Pompeii, Herculaneum and the Castellammare di Stabia. I am convinced that the cultural depth and the beauty of the above said place will be a frame of wisdom and an incomparable theatre of the intense days regarding the International Astronautical Congress. I wish to all of us a proficient work and enjoyable stay in Naples. Thank you very much. So let me then ask the President of IAF, the friend Bernd Feuerbacher, to start the official part of the Congress itself. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends. On behalf of the International Astronautical Federation, it is my particular pleasure to welcome you today to the 63rd International Astronautical Congress. It's held in the hospital city of Naples. Naples, not only known for its aerospace activities, but it's famous for the scenery, which is reflected in the logo of this Congress. It's famous for the nice people that we meet here, famous for its food, and it's famous for its good weather. And I tell you, I was quite relieved after this morning to see that the sun is coming back up again. This is the first time the IAC is coming to Italy. The first time was 1956, and it was held in Rome. The second one, 1981, again in Rome, and as mentioned by Enrico, the third one, 1977, in Torino. If you look at the sequence, you notice that the distances are getting smaller, which is an indication for the nation's growing interest and status in the international space sector. Indeed, Italy is one of the leading European space nations, and it plays a key role in the international space arena. Just to mention a few of the many contributions of Italy, it could be the industrial contribution to the International Space Station, which is very, very remarkable. Italy has contributed the construction of the Columbus Space Laboratory. It has contributed Node 2, Node 3, and the cupola, a fantastic part of the space station which gives the astronauts a marvelous view to space and down to Earth. It contributed the logistic modules, which have supplied many missions to the ISS. Italy had 4 astronauts in space, some of which you will meet here during this Congress, and 3 are training for future flights. Italy has a leading role in the development of the Vega rocket, which had its maiden flight in February this year, and things like the Cosmos Skymed constellation are a milestone in the all-weather Earth observation by radar techniques. A remarkable picture of this nation. These impressive space activities are coordinated by the Italian Space Agency, headed by my friend Enrico Saggese, who was just talking to you, which was founded in 1988. The fact that Italy is the 3rd largest contributor to the European Space Agency means that IAC has a close working relationship with ESA, and we just heard that this very important decision point of the European space activities, the 2012 ESA Council on ministerial level, will be held very close to this site in Caserta. You will hear a lot more about Italy, what it does in space, over the next 5 days here in this Congress, and I will leave this to the experts to provide you with the details. Italy is also a very important contributor to the Federation IAF itself. It has about a dozen member organizations within the Federation, and many, many nationals of Italy serve in our various committees and sessions. It is worth repeating that the 7th IAC held in Rome in the year 1956, this was 1 year before the Sputnik was started. So you see that Italy was a space visionary already at that time. In fact, Italy was one of the 10 signatory nations that founded the International Astronautical Federation back in September 1951, at a time when I was still at school. This Congress is memorizing the work of Luigi Napolitano, which served 2 terms as president of the International Astronautical Federation and presided over no less than 4 IACs in the late 60s and in the early 70s. I personally had very close contacts to Luigi. I regard him as a friend. I very much regret that he cannot be with us here today, but I'm so pleased that Liliana, his wife, can be with us here today, and I very much welcome you. We at the International Astronautical Federation are very pleased to be able to hold the IAC, which is the premier international gathering of the space community, here in the city of Naples with a very strong support of the local authorities, such as Luigi De Magistris, the mayor of Naples, Luigi Cesaro, the president of the province of Naples, or Stefano Caldoro, the president of the Campania region. I also would like to offer my sincere thanks to the local organizing committee, again headed by my friend Enrico. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to the International Program Committee, which is co-chaired by Antonio Moccia and Li Ming. These people did an enormous work to put together the program of this week. And I thank all the volunteers and committee members that worked so hard to make this Congress alive. And it's a real big Congress. 2,200 scientific and technical papers will be presented, selected from more than 3,000 abstracts that have been submitted in March this year. This will be structured in 30 symposia and 166 technical sessions. Representatives of 74 countries will speak to the Congress, and many more countries will attend. We just heard that the total attendance of the Congress is reaching a record never had before, coming close to a total number of 4,000 attendants. And I would like to emphasize that even with such a large Congress, we still are able to have 1/3 of the Congress participants being participants of the young generation, people under 35 years, and this is a remarkable success, I think. The Congress is organized jointly with our two sister organizations, the International Academy of Astronautics, under the capable leadership of Madhavan Nair, who is here with us today, and the International Institute of Space Law, ably led by Tanya Masson-Swan, who is also with us here on the first row. And finally, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all of you for coming here, for making all the efforts to prepare papers and give the presentations here, organize sessions, and of course to all of those that are involved in the exhibition that we will open immediately after this session. Without the work of all of you, an IAC like this would not be possible. I wish you all an enjoyable and informative Congress. I thank you very much and enjoy the next 5 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feuerbacher. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Now I give the floor to the Mayor of Naples, Mr. Luigi De Magistris.
Signore e signori, buongiorno. La città di Napoli vi dà il benvenuto per il 63esimo meeting dell'International Astronautical Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The City of Naples welcomes you all to the opening of the 63rd IAC.
Sono particolarmente onorato di dare il benvenuto a un consesso così qualificato e importante in una città che rappresenta un momento importante anche nelle imprese che si occupano del settore dell'aerospazio e delle nuove tecnologie.
And I'm honored and pleased to welcome you to this very important scientific event, this very relevant scientific congress in a city and in an area that holds so many important entrepreneurial activities in this field.
Noi guardiamo con moltissimo interesse non solo per le prospettive di progresso per tutta l'umanità, ma anche perché, essendo Napoli la città che ha il più alto numero di giovani in Europa, guardiamo con grande interesse anche alle prospettive di investimento e di lavoro per le future generazioni.
We are really interested in this field and in your presence here, not only for the economic growth all over the world, but also because in Naples we have the highest rate of youth in Europe. Naples is the youngest European city, and this field, the development of this field, will pave the way to the creation of job opportunities.
L'Italia, e in particolare oggi la città di Napoli, hanno investito molto nel settore dell'aerospazio e guardano con molto interesse, come dicevamo ieri nella riunione anche al Comune di Napoli, di come ci sia stato in determinati luoghi delle nostre terre uno sviluppo pacifico dell'aerospazio in quelli che erano una volta i luoghi in cui si preparavano strumenti di morte. Quindi anche questa riconversione industriale del militare verso le frontiere della pace e del progresso mi sembra un messaggio molto importante.
Italy and Naples have invested a lot in the aerospace industry, and as I had the opportunity to say during the City Summit yesterday at the municipality, the City of Naples looks with interest at the peaceful development that in many areas the aerospace industry has lived, so that there has been a reconversion from the military sector where instruments of death were produced to an industry of peace.
E per concludere, siccome voi ragionate, riflettete, investite su cose che guardano anche molto lontano, molto al di là di quello che è il futuro immediato, io mi auguro che questa città, che ha dei luoghi molto belli, possa aiutare a pensare, perché io credo che per guardare al futuro dobbiamo soprattutto preservare il nostro presente, e io non riesco ad immaginare un progresso senza il rispetto della natura e delle nostre terre. Napoli è una città dalla grande storia e dalla grande bellezza, e mi auguro che tutto questo possa aiutare anche gli uomini a progettare un futuro che rispetti sempre di più tutte le persone che abitano il nostro mondo.
Actually, since you are here for a scientific event and here you're to think and reflect about future development of the industry, and you scientists have far-reaching goals and an extraordinary capacity of vision, I hope that Naples, with its beauties and its beautiful scenery that has been mentioned, can be a source of inspiration so that we can look at the future while preserving our present. Actually, I cannot imagine any progress that does not respect nature and our lands, and Naples has a long-standing history of culture and tradition and science development, and I hope it can help man to plan a future that respects all the inhabitants of this planet.
Grazie e benvenuti a Napoli.
Thank you and welcome to
Thank you, Mr. De Magistris. Now I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Stefano Caldoro, the President of the Campania region.
Presidente e delegati, un saluto anche da parte mia di benvenuto in questa bellissima regione e magnifica città.
So, dear President, distinguished delegates, let me also welcome you to this beautiful region and this wonderful city.
Presidente Saggese, qualche minuto fa ha fatto accenno a questa straordinaria regione e le sue bellezze.
Actually, Mr. Saggese, President Saggese mentioned a couple of minutes ago the beauties of this region.
Ma è anche la regione, proprio perché ospita questo evento internazionale, che una straordinaria eccellenza nel settore aerospaziale e del comparto allargato.
And actually, this region can boast excellence centers, especially in the field of aerospace and all the downstream sector.
E dentro, per storia e tradizione, nelle grandi scelte strategiche internazionali di un settore che per eccellenza è un settore globalizzato, internazionale ed integrato.
And actually, this region has always been involved in its history to very advanced research works in this strategic sector that by its very nature is globalized and international.
Per parte nostra, nel sistema nazionale e internazionale, abbiamo messo in campo misure per sostenere il comparto, un comparto che ricordo alcune pochissime cifre, è il 25% del PIL nazionale nel settore, qui in Campania, di oltre 10.000 addetti e di circa 2 miliardi di fatturato complessivamente appunto nel comparto allargato aeronautico e aerospazio.
And actually, as far as we are concerned, at the national in the framework of the national and international system, we have taken measures to support this sector that is very important for the economy of our region. Let me give you a few figures. It accounts for 25% of the national GDP and it counts 10,000 employees and 2 billion turnover, both the aerospace and the aeronautic sector together.
Sono presenti in regione realtà che conoscete bene, come il CIRA, il MAF. È prevista la costituzione di un distretto di ricerca, il DAG, che è nato e vedrà lo sviluppo nei prossimi mesi e nei prossimi anni, con un investimento complessivo di questo distretto di circa 145 milioni di euro per 11 programmi strategici.
Here in this region you can find research centers that are very well known, CIRA, MARS, and the research district that has just been created will be developed for an overall investment of 145 million euros for 11 strategic projects.
E ancora un sostegno alle piccole e medie imprese della regione che sostengono il sistema delle grandi imprese, con centinaia di piccole e medie imprese, con un'attività di sostegno alle azioni integrate di sistema con dei contratti di programma specifici.
We will also support SMEs involved in this industry. Actually, in this region there is a fabric of small and very small enterprises that contribute to the success of this sector, and we will support them always in the perspective of an integrated development through specific sector contracts.
E per concludere, nel settore della formazione di base di eccellenza, nelle nostre 5 atenei ci sono 23 corsi di laurea nel settore, più i master specialistici.
And in conclusion, as far as training and education is concerned, in the 5 universities of the region there are 23 degree courses in the field, plus a series of specialization master courses.
Vi accogliamo con questi numeri in una strategia che però è una strategia globale, mondiale. Siamo dentro tutti lo stesso grande processo di sviluppo.
So these are our facts and figures. Of course, we are deeply involved in a global international strategy and we want to participate in this endeavor.
Buona permanenza e soprattutto buon lavoro. Grazie.
So enjoy your stay in Naples and have a fruitful conference.
Thank you, Mr. Caldoro. And now let me give the floor to the President of the Chamber of Commerce of Naples, Mr. Maurizio Maddaloni.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, authorities, fellow of the scientific, diplomatic institution and business communities. It's a great pleasure for me to be present here in my region, Campania, in my town, in my city, Naples, at the 63rd edition of the International Astronautical Congress and World Space Expo. Of course, this is the main international event in the field, and it's an honor for me as president of the Naples Chamber of Commerce and as a Neapolitan citizen to host this important event. Therefore, on behalf of the entire enterprises community of our metropolitan territory, altogether we count over 230 enterprises in the Chamber of Commerce of Naples, which I have the honor to represent today in such high-level global congress. I would like to give to all of you a very, very warm welcome to Italy, of course, to Campania region, and in particular to Naples. Furthermore, I would like to express my personal appreciation and deep sense of gratitude for the very kind invitation to the IAF, to the President of Italian Space Agency, Enrico Saccese, to the entire organizing committee, and let me say to my friend Norberto Salza, who had the vision to involve in such an amazing adventure the Chamber of Commerce as well. Thank you very much to everybody. The Regione Campania has a wide, strong and consolidated tradition, as Mr. Cadores told a couple of minutes ago, in aerospace field, which represent today around 25% of the national capability. Our region is one of the historic poles in the aerospace, defense and security history in Europe and Italy, together with Piemonte, Lazio, Lombardy, and recently Apulia. As a testimony of such tradition, the territory of Campania has been selected to host in the next November the ESA Ministerial Council, which will be held in Caserta, in the Royal Palace of Caserta, another excellence of our nice Campania region. Moreover, its industrial tradition has remote origin and goes beyond the Industrial Revolution. I would like to give just a few milestones of historical contribution of Neapolitan and Campania community to aerospace ground and development, mentioning some unforgettable dates and figures that I have been able to find. From Campania came the Air Force General Umberto Nobile, the world-famous pioneer, designer, scientist who reached the North Pole, flying on board his designed airships in the 1920. And among the pupils of Nobile certainly stands the figure of Luigi Gerardo Napolitano, who along with Luigi Pasquale Lange gave life to the Neapolitan School of Space and Aeronautics. And now from the story to the present. The Regione Campania has kept growing through its tradition, and now Campania holds a manufacturing base in the aerospace industry, which is dynamic and growing by large companies and a wide number of SME. The list of enterprises working in the field has about 120 companies, including around 11 on ground, that's clear, 11 consortia and research centers of excellence. Some numbers. The total turnover is between 1.7 to 2.3 billion euro, and the total of employees is between 8,500 and 10,000. So such big numbers for us. The search for synergy has led in the recent years to the creation of a consortium between the private companies, research centers, university named Campania Aerospace District. It will be not forgotten the presence in the region of 7 universities and a number of important research centers related to the space. The industrial space sector in particular consists largely of SME and research centers that operate mainly in the development of the technologies and products to remote detection, applied and telecommunication services. And so, accompanying and governing economic and social growth, it's therefore the main reason why the Chamber of Commerce is present here in so important event. Its role, in fact, is not limited to representing enterprises, but it spans to activities of coordination, guidance, and territorial development in the performance of its own functions and the ones demanded by the government, the region, and the international convention. Nevertheless, the real aim of the Chamber of Commerce is to foster events that can both economic and social life to the entire community. Our daily activity consists in the fostering, establishing, and managing facilities and infrastructures that are of general economical interest locally, regionally, and nationally. This is attained by the participating to the corporation and consortia, but especially through the works of our special agencies, complementary bodies of the Chamber of Commerce Naples, supporting enterprises in a very specific fields. Here in the hall number 1, for the duration of the Congress, the Chamber of Commerce Open Space will be coordinated by our special agency Eurosportel and will provide information to all the panelists wishing to know about investment opportunity in the aerospace sector, also through the organization of focus groups. I actually hope you will join them in the next few days. But it is not all about us. In the past 2 years, in fact, we have been mainly committed to reinforcing our role as the main actor in the economical and social affairs of our territory, playing on our institutional representation function and our growing concerns. And the all-round commitment spanning from the participation to the city's main cultural institutions to effort aimed at facilitating the access to our enterprise to international market. In this time of global crisis, when all the economic indicators are preceded by a minus sign, especially in Campania in the south of Italy, the internationalization of enterprises is the main level to launch growth. We are committed, and I conclude, to preventing the deep roots of our entrepreneurial system from freezing. And we are doing it with passion and with great result, first and foremost through the organization of great international events such as your International Astronautical Congress, to concrete proof of the interinstitutional cooperation between enterprise representation system and region and province and municipal institutions that are here today all together to confirm our appreciation and our effort in order to develop this kind of opportunities. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Enjoy your stay in Naples. We hope all the best successful business or focus on the meetings together, and we hope that when you will come back to your respectively countries. You will have a good memory of your business, of your opportunity, scientific opportunity there, but also you can keep a piece of, in a small piece of your heart, a good memory of our region, of our tradition, of our people. Welcome once again to Naples. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Maddaloni. And now I'm pleased to introduce the President of the Italian Agency for the Promotion and Internationalization of Italian Business, Mr. Riccardo Monti. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very glad to be here today. It's very good to be in my hometown talking about Italian excellence in global perspective. So Italy is a big manufacturing country. We produce many, many, many things. I was asked to bring a little film about a few things that Italy does. We are a big exporter. We are the second largest exporter in Europe. We have a big trade surplus. This year, for the first time in over 10 years, we will have a trade surplus including oil and gas, with oil at $120 per barrel, so it's a big achievement. But today we're here to celebrate a particular type of excellence, the excellence in aerospace. As Enrico Saggese pointed out, Italy has a long tradition. We have a lot of action in the space sector. We are exporting a lot in the aerospace sector. Also, Mr. Maddaloni mentioned the size of our industry, but I would like to emphasize that it's also a huge exporting engine for us. We are approaching 5 billion euro of export in aerospace and defense. The regional aerospace industry is also a big exporter, about 800 million this year. We have a number of new projects that are being developed, and we do hope also, with the support of the government, to be a key element in the new phase of space. For me, Rosetta and Cosmos SkyMed are as good as Italian excellencies as Prada or our wonderful food or our Ferrari. So the task of my agency will be to be able to promote a much wider concept of what is made in Italy, a much wider concept of our export, and a much wider role of high-tech and non-traditional made in Italy into the world perception. But I would like to go back to what was mentioned to say that the new phase of space and the upcoming ministerial meeting is very critical. I think that the space industry must take decision, will be difficult decision. I've been able to participate in many bilateral meetings, and I see that there are maybe diverging views between some of the big countries in Europe. I think the time of clear focus decision is coming, and I hope the ministerial meeting, on which I'm working also in preparation, will be able to come up with a very clear blueprint of this industry in the next 20 years. Another comment I would like to make, and yesterday we had a very nice conversation with Mr. Feuerbacher. This is a big Congress, the biggest ever. More and more countries are going into space. I think this is a huge opportunity for countries like Italy or Germany who have been pioneers in space. It's also an opportunity to foster growth and economic development and bilateral investment. I think these opportunities must be leveraged on, considering that the new phase of space development will be a much more democratic space development. Many more countries will be involved. And I think the next 10 years, this Congress will be bigger and bigger with more and more countries participating. Let me close on a personal note. The space community used to be a small and global community, amazing group of smart people, fun people, knowing each other. I would call it the space family. And I've been growing up in the space family. Mr. Luigi Napolitano was family for me, and a number of people around this room have been in Congress from Anaheim in 1976 when I was there to many more Congress. So I bring you also the welcome from the Ministry of Economic Development, Mr. Passera. He's a big believer on the role of high-tech and aerospace as a big pillar and engine for growth for this country. And I leave you to this beautiful seat in this very interesting Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monti. Now let me call back the President of the Italian Space Agency, Mr. Enrico Saggese.
We are almost concluding this part, but before going to ribbon cutting, I have the pleasure to read you a message from our Ministry Profumo, who was not able to come due to commitments at the governmental level. So I read the message of Mr. Profumo. I am particularly pleased to welcome you in this 63rd edition of the International Astronautical Congress hosted by Italy in the city of Naples. I regret not to be able to be personally present at this opening ceremony due to other institutional commitments. However, I fully share with you the enthusiasm and the complacency in cutting the ribbon of this event. I am conscious that this Congress is a cornerstone for the whole of space sector worldwide, with the participation of the best expertise from the academic institutions, the space agencies and the space industries. I am convinced that the Naples region and the surrounding province is the appropriate place to host your event. Italy has been able in the last 50 years to develop a sound and deep presence in the space arena, achieving outstanding results in all the space disciplines vis-à-vis the leading countries. The academic industrial texture of the Campania region has brought a substantial contribution to this excellence, with its university, its research centers, its large, medium and small industries. This 2012 end of the year is of particular importance for the Campania region, not only for the IAC event, but also for the next ministerial conference that, as you certainly know, will be held mid-November, some kilometers apart from here, in the splendid context of the Royal Palace of Caserta. Two events that will indicate the way forward in space for the years to come. This is the region that gave us extraordinary space scientists like Professor Luigi Napolitano, former president of the IAF, remembered together today with great affection, who marked the pioneering work and leading-edge technologies like microgravity and aerothermochemistry of space vehicles re-entry. My ministry, having the responsibility of the research and development activities in Italy, looks after the space activities with great attention and care, understanding their paramount importance both for the strategic positioning of the country, its sustainable development, and the well-being of all citizens. Through the Italian Space Agency, IAC, we allocate significant investments to the space programs in order to promote our presence in the international space arena. Today, I want also to thank IAF and IAC for the big effort deployed in organizing such a 63rd IAC edition that I am sure will be a great success. And I am sure as well that the marvelous context of the city of Naples, together with the renewed hospitality of the Campania people, will help you in doing an important step forward for the benefit of the whole of the space community. Please accept my best auspices for a full, undisputed success, and I very much hope that this 63rd IAC edition will be remembered as one of the best editions in the outstanding story of the Congress. It's signed Ministro Profumo Francesco. Thank you very much. So now we invite all of you for the exhibition inauguration and the ribbon cutting that will be outside here very close. So we move to the report cutting. Thank you very much.